I really got to a point where I hate cutesy stuff in media. Big corporations at some point realized that instead of releasing good products, they could just slap a mascot with big anime eyes and call it a day. And it didn't take too long before everyone else noticed that it worked. Stray comes to mind. A subpar walking simulator where you either read dialogues that would win the top prize at an elementary school awards ceremony or spam the contextual button while contemplating whether or not you're wasting your life. But hey, it's a cute little cat as main character, and you love your cute little cats, don't you? We're feeling pondered already. 'Cause I do! Now, on an absolutely unrelated note... Oh my god, you're so goddamn cute! What? Ah, shut up. This is actually good. But before any of you pedantic assholes calls me hypocritical, let me point out the clear difference here. Stray uses a cute cat to hide the fact that its gameplay is as boring as attending your high school teacher's funeral. Pikmin uses cuteness to set up tone. Not convinced? Try to replace the little kitten with a scrawny rabbit dog and see if it still dominates the charts. On the other hand, keep Pikmin's gameplay, but set it in a story about a group of soldiers stranded in a forsaken and dangerous land as they fight a mute psychopath who spends his days kidnapping people and devouring any creature he sets his eyes on. You still get Pikmin 4, I guess. But yeah, I'm not gonna hide the fact that I just adore every 3D model in Pikmin games. How even bosses are cute and snuggly in this game. Just like I'm not going to hide the fact that when Nintendo sent me a survey about Pikmin 4 at the question, "What do you like about this title?" I simply wrote, "Dude, have you tried throwing those little buckets of love?" They go... But this time Pikmins are not alone. They instead have to share their screen time with the adorable Ochi or Oachi. Nintendo, see, this is why it's not a bad idea to hire actual voice actors, so we can learn how we're supposed to spell things. Although I guess that after Bayonetta 3, the next Xenoblade will have its dialogues being replaced by random dumb gibberish. And to be honest, it's probably going to be an upgrade. But we are where we are, and I don't want to see any of you act all high and mighty correcting my pronunciation in the comments, so I just refer to him as Jonathan. Okay, enough about hypothetical job cuts though. Pikmin 4, or how alien creatures made the same mistakes human did as to think that we could turn dangerous places into safari tours. God damn, is there a lot of tiny little characters to speak with this time. So we make our character, go through the excruciatingly long tutorial, and we finally get to see our mindless drones horribly dying of hypothermia. But I wasn't really too satisfied at first. Sure, the game was as fun as Pikmin 3, but it was also too reminiscent of Pikmin 3. But the differences are there, they're just subtle and take a little bit to show up. Jonathan, for example, is much more than window dressing. Almost the entire traversal has been reworked with him in mind. With him, actions that were previously impossible are now available, like jumping and swimming and ramming very hard into any motherfucker that tries to eat your Pikmins. As usual, come nighttime, you have to return back to base, while all the little Pikmins you forgot behind are slowly murdered by the creatures of the night. It's always a joy to go through the various game levels and to rush through them. Pikmin manages to scratch a very peculiar itch in the back of my cerebellum, one which gets very enthusiastic at the thought of collecting big things well hidden in very mundane places. Which is probably why I always fell for those unoriginal bios on Tinder like,
"Looking for tall husbando that can help me get hard to reach groceries at the supermarket TPP.
Yeah, the challenges of having to micromanage your Pikmins properly will also make all of you control maniacs very happy, and I'm right there with you. The time limit doesn't really make things more tense in this context though. I remember really liking the fact that you had to constantly keep your characters fed through item collection in Pikmin 3, but here you can take your sweet time with no repercussion. Yet the game kept drilling me about how important it was for me to follow proper Dandori. What the hell does Dandori even mean? Ah, okay, I guess. I expected something less boring. Dandori time! See, the levels in Pikmin 4 are just like a long walk in the park with your new girlfriend as you look at the bright world while eating a tasty pistachio ice cream. Then you look at the strange figure in the distance, and when it's too late, it sucks you in, and oh god, here we go in the caves. Caves are where Pikmin 4 hides its challenges and the Dandori battles, where you've got to show you're the fastest that ever was at tidying things up very neatly. They start off pretty simple and act as good side content, but a lot of the meat of Pikmin 4 is here. Or at the very least the harder gameplay sections, just to make sure we don't flatline from how easy things were getting. It's also at this point I noticed a small step back compared to Pikmin 3. Whereas in that game, splitting your small army of green killers in different teams was very simple and intuitive, I always kind of struggled to some degree whenever I wanted to send Jonathan away with some Pikmins while my character was busy doing something else. And even if I managed to, it wasn't always the right choice anyway, because more often than not I'd find out that Jonathan's godlike powers were needed by Hugmungus, so I had to begrudgingly wait as the little smiley bumbly Fleabag would come back to me. Oh, it's all good, yeah, good job. But what about the music, Nintendo? You arrive at Hero's Hideaway, and the music is all mysterious and playful, and it goes ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-ba. But then you land on serene shore, and it's all cozy and calm and tropical, and you can hear the waves while the music goes all shh, shh, shh. But then you explore Giant's Heart, where it's all sawmill themed, so you've got these long notes that remind me of Uncle Jerry before he got in prison. So you've got all this cheerfulness and all this happiness until you go underground and fight the evil bumblebee from hell, and it all goes... Okay, Nintendo. You satisfied me. And it's not even enough! It's time to go to night expeditions and... Yeah, I'm sorry, but I didn't really like them. They're the most basic kind of tower defense I've seen in a while, where you just run around, getting some new roided and probably radiation poisoned Pikmins, then throw them at a small puny enemy, and when a bigger enemy appears, you just keep the X button pressed till they turn Super Saiyan and kill them with ease. Not exactly what I would describe as a rollercoaster of emotions, unless you get as excited as a moth at the sight of bright lights. At this point you might have realized, but Pikmin 4 has a lot of stuff to do, and sometimes it feels over-bloated with content. Not in the cynical copy-paste Ubisoft kind of way, mind you, but rather in the way a young 20 years old tries to impress an experienced mature woman under the sheets. It goes on very long but doesn't know enough tricks to always keep her on edge. For example, the amazing final boss fight, cool as shit, but before getting there you need to grind through a 1 hour long dungeon filled with small and simple fights. I don't need to be stuffed above and beyond, Nintendo, I'm an adult now. I enjoy a fine dinner with appropriately sized meals. But yeah, I really liked Pikmin 4. I just wished it used some more restraint. At least here I could run around as a fluffy animal having fun, instead of fighting the intrusive thought that made me wonder whether or not the tail movement algorithm would stop working and show me a very unpleasant cat butthole.